All right, Matthew, it's that time. We're jumping into your way too early rankings for next year so the people can bring home one of those.
Should I name it?
And by people, I mean Jay or I or Pete or Lawrence or Dev or
just make sure you don't make the same mistakes.
Literally anyone else.
Joe Flacco avoided in high school with that thing.
Yes.
Oh, no. Well, I'll be safe. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
Oh, boy. Stephen, please pull up the way too early rankings.
Wait till my wife sees this between us in bed tonight. That's going to be awkward. Or maybe not.
You'll be both sent to the couch.
Who knows?
You had the trophy. No one's ever been quickly sent to the couch.
Yeah.
Barry's way too early top 50. Shocker at number 1. Christian McCaffrey, followed by Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Ride or Die, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson. And then it takes us all the way to 9 and 10, Matthew, to get to the next running backs in Breece Hall and Kyren Williams.
My first question to you, Connor Rogers. You shocked to see 2 Jets in the top 10 overall?
A little bit, honestly. I'm very high on Breece going into next year.
He's my number 2 running back, obviously. Just, again, we saw how he ended the season. He'll be another year removed. We expect this offense to take a step up from what it was this year with Aaron Rodgers under center. I expect them to. You should talk about this more than I, but my expectations is that they'll address the offensive line in the offseason.
And they'll sign a backup quarterback,
they'll sign a backup quarterback. They'll sign a real one. And so Breece Hall was just looked awesome. And so I think with Rodgers and or a better quarterback than what they had this year and a better offensive line, Breece Hall will be the center point. Again, it's wide receiver heavy. I think as we look at draft trends for next year, and it's way, way too early, but I think it'll be similar to this year, which is I think elite wide receivers will go early, and there's going to be like running backs that you want in the middle rounds. It's worth noting that I did these rankings, and they're way, way too early, and you can see the entire top 50 on NBCSports.com, rotorule.com for free. Of course, I'm a company man, but I did them as with sort of a common sense and as the NFL is constructed as of today, right? So again, as of today, Breece Hall has no competition. Dalvin Cook's been released, right? And he's the guy, and we expect Aaron Rodgers to be back. That kind of thing.
Yeah, they haven't traded for a Devontae Adams yet.
Correct.
That could impact Garrett Wilson's targets, things like that.
Exactly, for Garrett Wilson. One of the toughest ones for me was CeeDee Lamb here.
Yeah.
So, he's been nothing short of terrific, but I couldn't rank him ahead of Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. Am I crazy on that?
I don't think you're crazy. Look, it's so close. I would probably have Jefferson and Lamb above Chase just because of the amount of just the finish of the season that CeeDee Lamb has had. He's having those peak Jamar Chase games. And with Jefferson, there's a bit more uncertainty at quarterback for him, but if they get Kirk Cousins back, Justin Jefferson, he's Offensive Player of the Year last year. I still think he is the guy.
A lot will change, but what you see here with all the wide receivers in the top 10 are just all these high floor guys.
Yeah.
Right? So Lamb, Jefferson, Chase, Amon-Ra, of course, A.J. Brown comes in at 6 just ahead of him. And, McCaffrey, not only is he number 1, he's number 1 by a clear margin.
Yep. Just feels like Chase has more quiet games than Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. It's just because he's got T. Higgins, who's probably a better complement than the other guys.
But Higgins might be on the move on.
Yeah, that's a key thing here. Yep. The target share for Chase could be astronomical if they move on from Higgins.
Yeah, if you sort of look at that's one of the things. I do think Higgins, as somebody who I grabbed Andre Isovis or whatever in a number of dynasty leagues,
Princeton legend,
right? Princeton legend. And I know there's a lot of people competing for who's going to replace Higgins in the Bengals lineup, and they may get a free agent or draft somebody. But I definitely do think Higgins is on another team next year.
Okay. Let's look at 11 through 20, which is very running back heavy in the beginning here. Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Stephon Diggs, Puka Nacua. Hello to the top 15. Puka, the San Francisco stack, Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk at 16 and 17. Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen at 18 and 19. And then Saquon Barkley at 20, Barry. He's another guy. Interesting quote from Saquon Barkley this week. He's reiterated throughout his career he hopes to always be a Giant, but he also said something along the lines that a fresh start has crossed his mind at times. So another guy, a fantasy star that could have a new home as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? So the running backs are all here, right? Ended it with Kyren Williams at 10, and then you see Jonathan Taylor, Bijan. I ranked them where I think they should go. But this sort of section makes me nervous. I'm not going to lie to you. You think about Kyren Williams, who had such a magical year, but, smaller guy, and can he,
He did get hurt this year.
He did get hurt this year, and is he kind of a one-hit wonder on Kyren? Jonathan Taylor, 2 of the last 3 years, he's been, massive injuries. Bijan, assuming Arthur Smith is back, makes you nervous a little bit because of just Arthur Smith's nuttiness as well. Love Jahmyr Gibbs as well, but you've always got Montgomery there. So it's just, this is a range of running backs that makes me a little nervous, although they're all awesome.
Yeah, well, Jonathan Taylor's an interesting one to me because I think that his ceiling is relatively defined just because Anthony Richardson is going to be the guy next year, and Jonathan Taylor is just going to get James Connered at the goal line, or he's going to get, not quite as dramatically, but DeAndre Swifted at the goal line where, like Kyler Murray, like Jalen Hurts, he's just going to lose a lot of touchdowns to his running quarterback.
I will say this about Gibbs, though. He finishes the year as running back 7. I mean, think about that. Dave Montgomery scored 12 touchdowns this year, and Jahmyr Gibbs was still running back 7.
And Gibbs didn't really become a thing until like week 5 or 6.
Correct.
The first month was really slow.
Yeah, I mean, Montgomery got hurt there for a while, so that sort of forced Gibbs into a starting role. But still, down the stretch, they've often used Gibbs and not Montgomery when they get in close.
And on the flip side, what will that offense look like when Ben Johnson takes a head coaching job?
Yeah.
It could be great for Gibbs. It could take a step back.
Yeah, like
there's a lot of variables, and that's why doing these so early is tricky.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, going back to this, the one guy that really I struggle with a ranking for is Stephon Diggs. Now, I'm at number 14 overall, but like over the last 6 weeks, he hasn't been a top 50 wide receiver.
Invisible.
Yeah.
He's been invisible, and you're just like, has he hit a wall? Like, I mean, he's not old by wide receiver standards, but he's certainly like, I don't know.
Kind of feels like he's going to be on a different team or something.
Something's
It's
just
just too weird
off.
that he's not playing that much. Yeah, I don't know.
Let's close it out with 21 through 30. Travis Etienne at 21, followed by Cooper Kupp, James Cook, who had a great second half of the season under Joe Brady, Michael Pittman Jr., another guy that could potentially find a new home, but we'll see. Chris Olave at 25, Nico Collins at 26, Devontae Adams at 27, Travis Kelce at 28, Devon Achane at 29, Mike Evans at 30. Travis Kelce at 28, Barry, I mean, I feel like that's the lowest you've probably ever had him since he's become a fantasy.
He's on pace for his fewest receiving yards in a season since 2017. The fact that he did nothing against Cincinnati last week was really an eyebrow raise, right? I mean, like that, the Bengals are so brutal against tight ends. It's championship week, and like I thought Kelce was going to have a monster game, and he didn't, and he looks slower to me.
Yeah.
He looks like he's lost his step. Now, he's never been the fastest guy. He's always been a guy that sort of creates space, finds the holes in the zone, uses that run after the catch ability, uses his physicality, and we expect the Chiefs offense to figure it out this offseason, but still, I'll say this. I don't think the Chiefs win the Super Bowl this year, but on the off chance they did, I could easily see Kelce saying, you know what, it's been a great career. I got 3 Super Bowl rings. I'm going to go be super famous with my girlfriend. Like, you know what I mean? Like, seriously, like, he's got an unbelievable post-playing career lined up for him. He is massively famous. He's charming. He's doing commercials. He could be in broadcasting. He's got a production company. Like, there's all sorts. I don't know how much longer this guy plays, and so he's going to be my number 1 tight end next year, but he's a 3rd rounder for me, and I bet you I have no shares of Travis Kelce next year.
Yep. I think I'm going to end up with a lot of shares of Cooper Kupp just because I think there is a lot of mitigating circumstances for his down games. He's been injured. There have been games where they've just run the ball a ton. He's still had 4 games over 110 yards this season. So I think the Cooper Kupp from a couple of years ago is still there, though he will be 31 next year.
I will say the 3rd round is packed. Like, just looking at some of these names here, just like, I'm actually more excited about the 3rd round than I am the 2nd round, if that makes any sense. But you think about guys like Pittman, Olave taking a step, Nico Collins is now in that tier as well, Achane taking a step up as well. So I just, I think I can't wait to get drafting already. Like, come on, let's get next season here. I got to defend this baby. I got to defend my puppy.
For the full Way Too Early Top 50, make sure to check it out on NBCSports.com.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.